Hey, good evening. It's Bart here with Obsession Bows. Just going to do a little video tonight on yardage judging practice. You know, there are so many times you hear people complain about yardage judging being difficult and boring and all that. And yes, it is. I'll be the first one to admit, but it's an important part of 3D archery if you're a target guy like myself. And of course, if you learn yardage judging all summer long, when you know, in September, October, November rolls around, get a little bit more confidence in your yardage. But for now, we're going to talk about the yardage judging with 3D targets. If you look right over here, we've got a whole stable full of Mackenzie targets, one Reinhardt. But this is my 40-yard bag, and I have this little Mackenzie laughing hyena right here that I've been having problems with. I always end up shooting him right about here because I always misjudge it by a couple yards, and it's because of the body size. So what I do is I'll put it at the bag at 40 yards, and that's where I do a lot of my practicing, is 40 yards. So rather I'm shooting that target or I'm shooting the bag at 40 yards, I get a good vision in my head of what that target looks like at 40 yards. Same thing with the bear, same thing with the deer and the black boar. And as you can see, I've got them lined up at 45 yards, and I've got one back here at 50 yards. So it's the same thing. I'm looking at known distance targets. So when I get out on a course and I see that javelina, or the laughing hyena, I mean, when I see it, I'm like, you know what? It's maybe just 2 yards shy of where I've got it at 40. Maybe it's a couple yards hot. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move him back to 45 and get a good vision in my head of what that target looks like at 45 yards. Here's one more trick I found that works really good. Crab floats. I live near the Chesapeake Bay region. Everybody's got crabbing boats in this area. So I grabbed a couple extra floats. They are exactly 10 yards from my bag. So that's another thing. I will, when I'm shooting, right before I pull my arrows, I will stare at the ground and learn exactly what 10 yards looks like from the target's back. Same thing with that deer in the back. That deer is 10 yards further, and I will study the ground and I will see what it looks like back. I will look at what this 10 yards looks back, and then wherever the target stake is, I'll judge 20 and 30 and then do the math in between. It's a lot easier doing it that way than walking it off that last 10 yards. So there's a bunch of different techniques. It's just practice. That's all it is practice. There's no secrets to it. You go out and you practice your form. You practice getting your bow set up right, your draw length. You practice with all that, and that's fun. But you got to take a couple minutes a day and practice judging yardage. And luckily, I've shot